Hey, greetings, everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West here, and welcome to the Steadfast and Loyal podcast.
You gotta light 'em up before they burn it down. Better dig deep, put 'em in the ground. Blood on their hands, they're hellbound. Save us all. Ooh, they're gonna burn it down. Save us all before they burn it down.
You know, first 100 days. You would think that, again, it just amazes me. The Democrat Party would go back and say, what were the key issues that we completely failed on? What was it that caused us to lose this election last November 2024? And I think without a doubt, one of the issues you look at is the illegal immigration issue. I mean, for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and that entire administration, Alejandro Mayorkas, to say that we are going to disavow our constitutional duty and responsibility, we are going to not support the rule of law. And isn't it funny how all of these judges that are out there trying to block what Trump is doing by adhering to the Constitution with protecting our border, protecting our sovereignty, they were silent in those 4 years of the Biden administration. Remember, Joe Biden came in and in his first 100 days, he completely overturned all of the actions that President Trump had taken in his first term to secure the border. 90 plus some odd executive orders to open up the border. Now, you would think that here's a party that would say, you know, maybe allowing people to come into this country illegally, single military age males especially, that wasn't a good idea. And when you look at what is being done in these first 100 days, I mean, it's pretty amazing that you don't hear anything about the border now. You don't see crowds and throngs of people charging the border like we saw. I mean, remember that video of those single military age males overrunning the border out in El Paso, stampeding members of the Texas National Guard who, why were they there on the border and they were not armed? And then these fellows just go and disperse throughout our country. Why is it that they could not sit back and say, this is not a good idea? This is something that we need to correct. We should not be placing the safety and security of criminal illegal immigrants over the safety and security of legal, law-abiding American citizens. Pretty hands down easy for me to comprehend. Why can't they comprehend that? No. Instead, we have a leftist movement, a progressive socialist Marxist movement that is now going to bat for the people that they allowed to enter the country illegally, which is a crime. And then on top of that, these same individuals have been committing crimes against American citizens. Murder, rape, child predators. I mean, all of these things, these are the worst of the worst. You should not want these people on our streets. And for members of Congress and others to, well, we're going to fly down to El Salvador and lobby for a person that's not even an American citizen. And this whole thing about, separating families. Let me tell you something. If you commit a crime in the United States of America, you're a citizen, no one's going to say, oh, we can't put you in jail because you're a mommy or you're a daddy. If you break the law, you break the law. And there are consequences and ramifications thereof. So again, we have people that are out there advocating for folks that have broken our law to come into this country illegally and then committing crimes on top of that, criminal illegal immigrants. And now they're concerned about, oh, families are getting broken up. No one cares if you're bank robber, if you go out and assault someone and you get held without bail, without bond, you can't make it, you got to stay in there. Well, so what? Shouldn't have committed the crime. So why is it that the progressive socialist left, for whatever reason, has decided that they're going to align themselves with criminal illegal immigrants? I mean, I understand they hate Donald Trump, but you cannot hate a person to the point where you lose all sense of reality and sanity, because this is not playing out well in front of the American people. As a matter of fact, just consider what happened last week, Friday, in New Jersey. Now, you would think in New Jersey, they would be more concerned about the fact that the radar system at Newark International Airport is going dark. I would be concerned. But no, they are more concerned with the Delaney Hall detention facility. And who are these people? It's United States Representative Robert Menendez, the son of the other Bob Menendez, the senator who just got found guilty, along with his wife, for some money issues. I think they call him Gold Bar Menendez, kind of like Cold Cash Jefferson. Remember that guy, congressman from Louisiana? So his son, Representative Robert Menendez, and another congressional representative, LaMonica McIver, along with the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, Ross Baraka, who is also running for governor of New Jersey. Now, they all decide, quote unquote, that we need to go and conduct oversight of the Delaney Hall detention facility. Now, I understand, if you want to conduct oversight and you're a United States Representative, Robert Menendez and LaMonica McIver, you have the Tom Homan, you have the Secretary of Department of Homeland Security, Christy, no, they can come and testify if you want to do your oversight duty. No, they're just going to show up and say, we're here and we're going to storm into this facility. Just the same as, what's her name, Maxine Waters from California decide, I'm going to go into the Department of Education. Why? You can hold a hearing and you can sit down and talk about it. You can conduct the oversight that you want. You can, if you want to go by Representative Menendez, Representative McIver, Newark Mayor and gubernatorial candidate Baraka, you could send a request saying, we'd like to come by and tour the facility. They wanted to conduct a wellness check. Now, they want to conduct a wellness check of what? These people that are in Delaney Hall, criminal illegal immigrants, rapists, child predators, and MS-13 gang members. They're not even your constituents. They're not Americans. They're not residents of New Jersey, but yet you want to go in and conduct a wellness check for rapists, child predators, and MS-13 terrorist organization gang members? I don't understand that. Like Chris Von Hollen going down to El Salvador, meeting and having margaritas with a person that's an El Salvadorian citizen. He's not an American citizen, Chris. And when these people show up, and of course they don't get the opportunity to just go in and bum rush and do what they want, it was a political stunt. And now we've got the body cam footage that shows LaMonica McIver, she assaulted a member of the Homeland Security, a law enforcement official. This Newark mayor, Ross Baraka, was arrested. Now, the left is all up in arms. The Trump administration is arresting elected officials who are out there doing their official duties. Official duties for what? I thought you were supposed to represent your constituency, American citizens. You just want to create a political stunt. And now it's backfired against you. And why has it backfired against you? Because let's just use the left's definition of an insurrection. The whole January 6th thing. If you start to confront and charge a government facility, which they've done in the past, if you have a physical confrontation with federal law enforcement agents, which they have done in the past, Antifa, Portland, many other places, that's an insurrection. But see, no, what the left has done is they say, this is just resistance. We're just resisting Donald Trump. We're resisting his policies. You mean the policies of correcting, based upon the Constitution, of course, getting criminal, illegal immigrants off the streets. As Tom Homan has said, the people that pose a domestic and national security threat to the United States of America. You guys want to resist that? You guys, based upon your own definition, you guys want to create acts of insurrection? Go back. I looked at the body cam video over and over again, pushing and shoving on law enforcement officials at this Delaney Hall detention facility. That's not oversight. And again, oversight of who? These aren't your constituents. So why should you care? If there were members of ISIS, Taliban, Hamas, Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad, if those were individuals, the Houthis, if those individuals were there in Delaney Hall, individuals that had come across our border illegally, members of a terrorist organization, which is what MS-13 and Trinidad Aragua have been designated as terrorist organizations, would you go and visit ISIS members? Do they need your oversight? Do you consider them constituents? I don't know how the left thinks that standing up for people that are creating and committing some of the most heinous crimes, child sex offenders, child predators, child rapists, rapists overall, assault. You go back and look at the judge in Wisconsin who stood up for a person that was guilty of domestic abuse. And see, this kind of ties into also what just recently happened up in Massachusetts. Now, I got a Southern accent, so I'll probably say this wrong, but Worcester, Massachusetts, last week, Thursday. A crowd of residents accosted Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents as they attempted to apprehend a criminal illegal immigrant. Now, who was the person that they were trying to apprehend? Let's go and sift through this article and find out who this individual was. And it comes out that this person was Ferreira de Oliveira. Police arrested him for assault and battery with a dangerous weapon and assault and battery on a pregnant victim. And he's here in the country illegally. And yet we had people that showed up. An angry group of protesters surrounded one of the agents demanding to see a warrant as they moved a woman who was allegedly residing in the country illegally to a vehicle. The protest prompted a response from the Worcester police, who showed up to quell the demonstration, according to the Boston Globe. Here's dozens of local officers responded to the scene after receiving reports that a hostile crowd of protesters had surrounded a federal agent. Why would American citizens get involved with the removal of someone that's a criminal illegal immigrant? You had a school committee candidate, Ashley Spring, 38 years of age, who police said had pushed multiple officers as they attempted to arrest a juvenile that was trying to obstruct this operation. Spring allegedly also threw an unknown liquid substance on the law enforcement officers. Here's a person that wants to be on a school committee, and she doesn't care about protecting children. The altercation is the latest flashpoint in the aggressive federal crackdown to detain and deport unauthorized immigrants, illegal immigrants, criminal illegal immigrants, including the controversial detention in March of Tufts University graduate student Rumeshia Ozturk near her Somerville apartment. I don't understand what part of this the left thinks is cool. And what is even worse is that the police had to come out and they had to speak out against an elected official. The Worcester Police Patrol Officers Union released a statement condemning the demonstration. In particular, the organization singled out, I'm going to butcher this, Itel Haxhia, a city council member who participated in the fracas. On Thursday, May the 8th, 2025, at approximately 11:15 a.m., the Worcester police were dispatched to Eureka Street for a call that came in for federal law enforcement officers needing assistance due to a hostile and uncooperative crowd surrounding them. This is incredible. The statement from the Worcester police explains that because some protesters threatened officers' safety, and the incidence of violence against ICE officers has increased. That should not be happening. I guess we have people on the left would prefer, as Kamala Harris said, we don't have ICE. We just allow criminal illegal immigrants, single military age males, non-state, non-uniform belligerents to just roam across the country and commit acts of violence against the American people. But there was an elected policymaker and someone who has created this difficult task for the police, District 5 City Councilor Etel Haxiaj, Haxxiaj. I can't pronounce it. But she incited aggression toward the police during the incident. An elected official inciting violence against law enforcement officers. She participated in the conduct of the unruly crowd and eventually assaulted both Worcester police and federal law enforcement officers on the scene, which further alleges that the official's conduct also emboldened others to act in this manner. They demand that the city conduct an ethics violation into her conduct. No doubt federal authorities will also review the incident and determine whether federal charges may be coming for those involved. No one has the right to act in such a reckless manner toward police officers, and we demand accountability for all criminal and ethically deplorable behavior. All of this over a criminal illegal immigrant should not be here that is committing crimes against citizens. Now, these are elected officials, so-called. You know, we got the two representatives, congressional representatives from New Jersey. We've got the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. We've got, a school committee candidate. We've got District 5 city council member from Worcester, Massachusetts. There are consequences and ramifications to these people that want to support folks that are here to do harm against American citizens. That's the nature of insurrection. They physically assaulted federal law enforcement officers and local police officers, law enforcement officers, who are enforcing the law. So what is it that the left stands for? That's what we need to be talking about and thinking about. You would think that after November 2024, they would say, this is a bad path to go down. Let's get on the side of protecting our national sovereignty. Let's get on the side of making sure that we don't create this type of mistake again. But no, they have quadrupled down, standing up for criminal illegal immigrants. A domestic and national security issue. Because many of these non-state, non-uniform belligerents, many of these single military age males that have come to this country, they didn't come in here looking for a better opportunity. And how are they getting weapons? In Massachusetts and in New Jersey, they got some pretty restrictive gun control laws there. So how is it that these members of terrorist groups, MS-13, Trinidad, you name it, they're able to get access to weapons. And don't tell me they're not able to get access to weapons. The video of the Trinidad members going through an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado, tells us something different. I don't think the left cares about your safety and security. They don't. They care about one thing, their ideological agenda. They do not care about the sovereignty of the United States of America. As a matter of fact, I remember when Antifa and some of these other leftist Marxist groups were marching in Washington, D.C. during the previous Trump administration, they said no borders, no walls, no USA at all. That's their mentality. And they've attacked other ICE facilities. I recall them attacking one up in the state of Washington. I believe it was in Seattle a few years back. See, resistance equals insurrection. They just use that word resistance to make it seem justifiable, but it's an insurrection. Now, the other thing that it appears that the left doesn't understand, and I hate their hypocrisy because it's so easy to evidence. But now we've got members of the United States Senate on the Armed Services Committee. We need to fire Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth needs to resign. He needs to step down, blah, 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 blah. Because why? He's come out and said something that most of us that serve in the military know to be fact. We got too many generals. You know, there was a recent article that just came out, and, you know, where is it here? 37 four-star generals and admirals. 816 officers with 1 star, brigadier general, rear admiral, and above. Now, understand something. When you talk about promotion, the last time an officer gets evaluated by a board of peers, if you want to call it that, that's that 1-star level, brigadier general, rear admiral in our maritime forces. After that, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star generals, those are political appointments. They go before and they're voted on in the Senate because the Senate has the oversight responsibility. But we have gotten to a point where you can go into the Pentagon and you can, you know, hit a baseball down a corridor, and that baseball will probably knock down 10 general officers. I don't understand why you need to have a brigadier general to do PowerPoint slides or as a staff officer. And you look at some of these higher headquarters that have been just, you know, exploded over the years, not just the military side, but also the civilian side. We need to look at reducing that because the whole purpose of a Department of Defense, the whole purpose of the military, it should be about, well, winning, fighting, recruiting, training, deploying, and taking care of the families of our service members, not becoming a jobs program, which is what has happened. You know, his confirmation hearing in January, he told lawmakers, World War II was won with 7 4-star generals. Today we have 44 some odd 4-star generals. That's what he said back in January. Now, he is only talking about eliminating roughly 100 generals and admirals. He says it's necessary to remove redundant force structure and streamline Pentagon bureaucracy. Just 100. If you go back, which I did, there was a op-ed in Investors Business Daily, written December the 21st of 2018. And what's the title of this op-ed? Obama's military coup purges 197 officers in 5 years. Somehow I didn't hear a peep from anybody in the Democrat Party when Barack Obama went in and just axed a bunch of senior military leaders. And the article, the op-ed from 2018 starts off this way. What the president calls my military. Can you imagine if Donald Trump came out and said my military? Oh, he's a dictator. He's a despot. he's politicizing the military. It's not his military. But when what the president calls my military is being cleansed of any officer suspected of disloyalty to or disagreement with the administration on matters of policy or force structure, leaving the compliant and fearful. That's the opening statement here. Barack Obama, in the 5 years of his presidency, got rid of 197 senior officers. And look, one of the first ones he got rid of was General Carter Ham. Why did he get rid of General Carter Ham, who was the head of AFRICOM? And I know General Carter Ham. Stellar officer, because he disagreed on Benghazi. Couldn't have that. But what does this article over here talk about is that everyone's concerned that Donald Trump is going to politicize the military. House Armed Services Committee member Seth Moulton, Democrat of Massachusetts, a former Marine, said Hegseth is creating a formal framework to fire all the generals who disagree with him and the president. Oh, Seth Moulton, you didn't say anything in 2018 when Barack Obama did it. Or let's even go to, someone that has been around a little bit longer. Senate Armed Services Committee ranking member Jack Reed, Democrat of Rhode Island, has been the most pointed in his questioning of Hegseth's reasons for the cuts, warning that removing senior officers without sound justification could hamper the military. I have always advocated for efficiency at the Department of Defense, but tough personnel decisions should be based on facts and analysis, not arbitrary percentages, Reed said in a statement on Monday. Secretary Hegseth has shown an eagerness to dismiss military leaders without a cause, and I would be skeptical of the rationale for these plans until he explains them before the Armed Services Committee. Hey, Senator Reed, where were you? Where were you when Barack Obama was getting rid of 197 generals? Cat had your tongue? Oh, maybe you didn't get that memo. See, the hypocrisy of the left is disgusting. It's disconcerting. But mostly it's delusional. It is deranged. See, they believe that they can storm a facility, a law enforcement facility. They believe that they can physically assault law enforcement officers because they're standing up for their ideological agenda, which is open borders. See, they believe that they can get rid of generals that don't agree with them, but all of a sudden now you get a new commander-in-chief. Well, he can't do that because it's codified in the law. You have to come back to us to say, there's X amount of generals that you think you only want to have. They didn't quote law when Barack Obama got rid of 197. Just, boop, gone. Leaving the compliant and the fearful. Yet what has happened to our officer corps since President Obama took office is viewed in many quarters as unprecedented, baffling, and even harmful to our national security. December 21st, 2018, Investors Business Daily op-ed. And even on Fox News Online, here's an article, February 21st of 2025. Rumors swirled this week that Secretary Pete Hegseth is prepping a list of top Pentagon brass for the chopping block, but it's not the first time an administration has cleaned out top military commanders to align with new political goals. 5 months into office in 2009, President Barack Obama relieved Army General Dave McKiernan as the commander of the U.S. forces in Afghanistan, making McKiernan the first wartime commander to be dismissed since General Douglas MacArthur in 1951. He was replaced by General Stanley McChrystal, who had led Special Operation Forces in Iraq on the advice of Defense Secretary Robert Gates, who wanted fresh eyes in the drawn-out Afghanistan conflict. We have a new strategy, a new mission, and a new ambassador. I believe that new military leadership is also needed. But only 1 year into his command, McChrystal resigned, pushed out by Obama after reportedly bad-mouthing White House officials, and was replaced by General Dave Petraeus, who, of course, General Dave Petraeus was removed. Obama also fired General James Mattis as head of the U.S. Central Command. That came out February 21st, 2025. So at least someone remembers what Obama did. It's time that we start calling out the leftist hypocrisy. It's time that we start challenging them on all of these out-of-control actions that they're taking, which undermines the domestic and national security position of these United States of America. If they want to go out and advocate for criminal legal immigrants, there has to be consequences for them at the ballot box. If they want to go out and cashier generals when they're in charge, because they want generals that promote their ideological agenda, but yet when it comes time to say, maybe we should look at reducing the amount of generals we have, now all of a sudden they decry political cause and expediency and ideology. If we're going to be steadfast and loyal to the United States of America, we got to prevent progressive socialist Marxists from ever being in a position of authority and power in the United States of America. And that starts as we get ready to ramp up into next year, which is the midterm election cycle. God help us if we allow Democrats to control the United States House of Representatives, United States Senate, or either one. We got to continue to push them into political exile, because that's exactly what their actions call for. Stand up. Read, understand, and take action about what is happening. Because if you don't, then you're not steadfast and loyal to this constitutional republic.
Before they burn it down.